Culture. This is the Korg MS-20 synthesizer. It is a semi-modular monophonic synthesizer from 1978 to 1983 is when they made these bad boys. Of course, Korg has re-released this. You can get this in a mini size, which is super cool that they've done that and modeled everything to be exactly the same. But this is a vintage one, probably closer to 1983. It is a Mark II, so it's got a different filter than the original. They're very similar, but I always like to disclose that. I'm Vulture Culture. We check this stream out every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. We're always checking out different synthesizers. I love vintage synths, of course, but also the new stuff is fun sometimes. So we're going to bust open tonight the patch bay. So what makes this synthesizer unique versus every other synth that I have actually in this vintage synth museum is that you can take these different cables and create different patch variations. And I'm no master of using the patch bay of the MS-20, but I thought it would be fun during this live stream to check out some different ideas, things I've come up with, things I've stolen from other people on the internet, just to check out what can be done with semi-modular stuff. I know some people that we have in the chat right now love a good modular setup and know much more about it than I do. So I'm always aware of that I am not ever the smartest person in the room when it comes to this channel. But that's kind of part of the fun, right? Is being hopefully a useful idiot who can bust this open. So the way I've created this particular patch will start pretty simply with, we have, you know, a square and a sawtooth wave with a little bit of pitched detune there to give it that nice little bit of that. I have just a small amount of frequency modulation. I don't know how well you guys can see that on the channel without it. Very rigid. If I overemphasize it, you'll get a wide vibrato. "32 feet, 16 feet. And then what's really making this sound is I'm not really using either of the envelope generators all too much. What I'm really doing is using the sample and hold, which I don't know how well you guys can see that there, of the synthesizer on the low pass filter. And what that's doing is it is giving us, every time I'm setting the trigger out to the clock, so every time the white noise that's going into the sample and hold circuit here, every time I hit a key, it's grabbing a random value and it's holding it there for the filter. So if I just play one note, you get a different filter cutoff value each time. Which is a really cool thing to do. Yes, a lot of people have the MS-20 IC. I actually would like to have one of those to check it out and see how it compares with a real one. Something cool about that, it's just a controller, a hardware controller for the VST, but you can actually use the patch cables, which I think is super neat. Yeah, semi-modular represents a great area aquatic between true modular and but you can still rip out all these patch cables and just use this synth like a regular analog mono synth, which is of course famous for its screaming resonance, which is what I'm using here. That is money right there. It is gorgeous. Oh, it's trash. Don't bother with it. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just recreate this real quick so you guys can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to pull all these out real quick, and we'll start over so you guys can see how I got here. So without any of the cables in, we just have a regular analog monophonic synthesizer that sounds like this. Really nice and throaty with all of that resonance. Over here, though, is where what we can do is essentially defeat the natural stereo path. Yo, Anonymous with the $6.66 tip says, let's learn about modular. Well, thank you very much, whoever you are out there. Anonymous, you are awesome. Your genitals must be superior to everybody else's, and I appreciate you very much. So yeah, the way this works is actually very similar to any other synthesizer and subtractive analog synthesizer. We have two voltage-controlled oscillators. We've got a mixer right here. We've got a high-pass and a low-pass filter, and both of them are resonant. So by increasing the peak here, we can actually get more bass, which is super great. And then we have a frequency modulation. We can do FM. We've got this modulation generator is what Korg called an LFO until the 80s, where they swapped over to calling it LFOs, I believe. Basically similar stuff to envelope generators. And by the way, feel free to ask me questions. Sometimes people say I'm too technical too quickly, so I would love to slow down and explain anything as I'm going. But at the same time, I think when you're talking about semi-modular, you have to assume that people understand some of the basic stuff, because for me, semi-modular and modular can be a little mind-bending. So it's a lot of fun to check it out. Anyways, so we've got a white noise generator, so that's a useful thing. We actually have it on voltage-controlled oscillator 1 if we wanted to, but I don't want to right now, because what we can do is we can actually just patch this in. Yo, Anonymous with another $6.66 donation. I super appreciate whoever you are out there. If you are the same Anonymous or a different Anonymous, whoever it is, your genitals are superior too. So we have at least 2 sets of superior genitals in the chat right now. So this white noise, we could run this into the filter here. If we want to run it in, we could come out of the white noise generator and just stick it in to the high pass filter. And then when we play a note, we'll hear the white noise. We should. There it is, into the low pass filter. So this is a real quick way that you could actually have white noise as well as 2 voltage controlled oscillators. So that's immediately a difference from what you could do with just a standard synth architecture, is you would have to give up one of your VCOs for noise. It's that way on synths like the JX3P, for instance. Oh, I appreciate it, Jim. Thank you very much for the tip. You are awesome, my friend. And yeah, sometimes PayPal is a little bit different with stuff. Polyvox running through the MS-20 filter or vice versa. Have you done it? I haven't, although I could. Both of these have external inputs and outputs, so we could run the Polyvox into this or vice versa. As far as which do I think has the better filter, if you're watching this channel and you happen to notice I have a Polyvox down here, first time here, and you had to pick one of the two, considering they're about the same price on the vintage synth market, I would pick a MS-20 all day, every day. It's just really wonderful. The Polyvox is super cool too. You know, there's a bunch of cool stuff you can do with it. I love the loopable ADSRs, but you can actually do loopable ADSRs. I'll show you guys, hopefully I'll remember to show you guys how to do that later. So as far as the sound goes, these 2 filters are just as good as they'll ever get. I think these 2 filters are the reason why everybody loves this synth so much. It's just, there's a reason it's a classic. So, yes, I'm glad that you have this nice, Portrait X. I actually changed the lens out on this camera recently, or for this stream autumn. I thought it would be fun to have a different lens for this, make it a little more cinematic. So anyways, that's a way that you could fake or get that, not fake it, really have two voltage-controlled oscillators and a noise source. But what we want to do is actually use this for the sample and hold. So if I stick this in now to sample and hold, and then we go from the output of the sample and hold, and we run that into the cutoff of the filter here. Cutoff of that filter, I believe this. No. Where do I want to put, I already had it in here. Frequency, we could run it into, say, the frequency of the oscillators, actually. Get weird results there. But I want to run this to the cutoff frequency of the filter. So you can see you're getting this like chaotic filter movement, and that's because it's pure white noise controlling that filter. So it almost sounds like white noise, right? So instead of that, what we need to do, the recipe to get this under control is the clock of the sample and hold. So we need to tell the sample and hold when to actually hold. It's just sampling all the time, that white noise. And so to do that, we just go to the trigger out of the keyboard over here and run that into the clock. I think this is how I had it set up before. And then yeah, now we've got that effect where every note we get a different sample and hold. Yes, the bokeh is good. And you can hear a little bit of analog warbliness, and that's because this is an analog synth, and these are some old connections. I've noticed sometimes when I was using this external signal processor that what I was getting were sort of unpredictable, random sounding, unstable stuff that I noticed when I was looking up people using the modern version, they weren't having that trouble. So what I think that is part of owning a vintage synth is these things need to be serviced, and they do get old and kind of do unpredictable, weird things, which is part of the charm. Do you even want to service that out of it, or do you want to have a synth that's a little wild? Thank you very much, Autumn. So far, is everybody following me? Everybody's probably good with this because you guys are all synth heads. That filter is so gorgeous. Yeah, super cool. So anyways, that's how we did the first patch of the day. Let's take all of these out. And what we're going to do is run one of these cables from the headphone jack. So what we're going to do, first off, let's open the filter all the way and turn the resonance off. Right? And what we're going to do is take the headphone jack output and run it into the external signal processor. So let me actually just run it into the external signal in. So this is going to blow the fucking speakers up, so I'm sorry about this. I'll turn the volume down a bit. Actually, if you just wanted, like, if you came to this video just to see, like, okay, my MS-20 sounds kind of cool doing bass, you know, but I want to make it monstrous. How do I do that? Well, you could just take the headphone jack and run it into the external signal in here and just... Now it's just destroyed, right? It's amazing. Dana, welcome to the stream, my friend. But it's so out of control that it's probably not that useful. So what Korg's done is they've actually added this external signal processor section to the synth over here. So this last little section actually is sort of like a way to tame or get control of the signal that you're running into it. So this would be where you would plug in, like, say, another synthesizer or your voice. You could run a microphone in here. But today, we'll just run the headphone jack out of here into the signal in. The biggest thing is going to be the signal level amount. So out of the filter out, we're going to run that into the exact same place, into external signal in. And you'll notice nothing's different than if I don't have it in, right? And the reason is because until I turn the signal level up, we are not getting anything. And then we got a little peak here so we can see the amount of distortion we're cranking it. We don't get much advantage to this trick past a certain point because it's the signal's just so clipped. But kind of where it's, you know, starting to peak, we get some really great analog distortion. You can hear that extra throaty, bassy stuff. Now, we also have two filters here. We got a low cut filter and a high cut filter. So let's check that out a little bit. I'll crank it up a little too much. Depending on what you want to do with that, or the high cut. You can hear that little bit of randomness. That's again from the sort of dusty connection points in here that I need to clean out. So if you want to filter out some of that throatiness and actually just add more bass, you can filter this down. So this is nothing, just the synth as normal, which already sounds beefy. I mean, that's just massive, right? That's crazy how much power you can get just with 2 patch cables. So we're already moving somewhat fast through this, but it's good to have. Yeah, super cool that you can use the signal level and the frequency cuts to... And that's pretty dirty for both the filters being wide open with no resonance, right? So once you, I mean, might as well do an obligatory. That's breaking my cones in my headphones. There is no synthesizer in the world that sounds quite like this one. And we could do it with the high pass filter too. So let's go ahead and do that. And this is also another way that you could add even more bass. If we don't have enough, we could just use the peak of the high pass filter to actually pump more bass into the signal. I love how we're getting that interesting pulsing with the high pass filter all the way there. That is a very nasty sound immediately. So what do you guys think so far? Have I convinced you, Jim, that this is a cool synth to have, or that patch cables aren't so bad? Maybe, maybe not. So what we can do, though, is also, if we want to have that, we could add more cables to this and get more crazy with it. We do have an envelope follower. We might mess with that later. What are some other things we could do with this real quick? Let's see. We could use the modulation generator somewhere. We could... What could we do? I don't know. What's a good thing with this? I mean, it's actually pretty damn good. We could bandpass this, so putting both of these to 5. So I can turn the mixer down. Now we're just hearing that extra signal, right? I love that you're still not into it, Jim. I appreciate that. That's a pretty crazy, thick sound, even playing these high notes. Really cool beating we're getting from that. All right, anyway, so that's a kind of like fifth bass line sound. Let's bust all these out. One thing also worth saying about the patch bay real quick. Let's come up with a different sound just so we don't get too tired. I'm going to move over to a triangle wave. But we're going to move it up. On VCO 1, on VCO 2, let's check out the ring mod. So we'll use a combination of both of those. The Joker 1989. Yeah, this is a wonderful toy to have. That is for sure. Very fortunate man. You know, I don't know that I would ever recommend people to go on the crazy vintage synthesizer journey I have gone on. If I had to have one vintage synthesizer monosynth, analog monosynth, we can find it just to that criterion, it would be the Korg MS-20. I just think it sounds great. I love the oscillators. Like, everybody talks about the filter. The oscillator sound is great. Just listening to this triangle wave with some ring mod in there, like, wow. Super cool. We could change the pitch here. There we go. So it's still fifth up, which is causing that ring mod to act differently. Super gorgeous. The journey is an expensive one. It's totally true that you can get sounds like that with other synths. And here's like a thing that's kind of frustrating. Maybe. If you want to adjust the wheel here, the wheel does nothing by default. You can see it's not doing anything. I actually have to route the wheel here to the frequency of oscillator 1 and 2. And also, if you don't remember to increase this external input, it still doesn't do anything. It took me forever to figure that out, because I was like, I plugged the wheel into frequency. That should work, right? But you have to actually increase that. Which is super cool. We've also got a button here we can use. That was how we did the duophonic patch. I've got that up as a members only video. If you guys want to join the channel, that's there. But I just want to demonstrate real quick, because it wasn't obvious to me how to actually get the wheel to work, just to do some typical stuff. Also, we could do this to control, let's see here. We've got the modulation generator. So we can get vibrato right now by just increasing frequency modulation by this. What that does is make this modulation generator control the vibrato. So let's see what we can do with that actually. So we've got the different outs here running in. I believe there's a way that we can use the wheel to control the amplitude of that, but it's not coming to me right now. Wait, here we go. Let me think about this. Let's get the sine out of the modulation generator, run it into the signal in, and then run that out of that. And then let's see here, run that out to the frequency of the oscillators. So let's see real quick. We're getting kind of like a sawtooth thing, I think, out of that. Which we can actually control the amplitude of. See what happens if we move it to total. Let's do that to cutoff frequency of the low pass filter, actually. Let's try that. Oh, is that the... That's almost like a trigger out. I wonder if we move over to this one. Interesting, different, like it's almost more of like a trigger out there than otherwise. So, yeah, definitely. That's, I guess, the joy, by the way, of modular or semi-modular is that you get these like weird, unexpected things when you plug things in where they don't belong. So I know what happened there is, once again, same fucking stupid Alex is, I forgot to turn up the knob that is the external amount going in. So here we go. There we go. We've got our nice sawtooth wave. Oh, wait a second. Am I being really stupid? Am I just... I was being really stupid. That's just how this sounds with nothing going in. Versus if we run this in here and we get the modulation generator out, we get more of like a trigger thing. So this is already the beginning of things. Yo, what's up, Sebastian? How's it going, my friend? We are experimenting with this synthesizer tonight, checking out a couple of different things. So let's see if we can do something like this with the modulation generator, but have it control the amplifier. Let's see what happens. And then find the amplifier. Well, I'm hearing something. Interesting. It is controlling that amplifier with that little trigger amount. So it's playing itself, right? Because it is triggering that amplifier. Really interesting. So let's go ahead, back out again, and pick another approach. So one thing we can do is using, let's say, envelope generator 1. Right now, if I increase envelope generator 1 here, or I'm sorry, can I even use that? Right now, if I increase this, we're going to use the envelope generator 2 here. We're getting this interesting, like, low note being caught in there. I think it's from the ring mod, actually. Maybe? Maybe. not? Let's go ahead and just try that old trick. Oh, is the EG1 over here. How did it go over on Restricted Entertainment, Sebastian? I wanted to see the stream. He was over there with the homies, Isaac and Trish, doing a live stream, but I can't find the VOD or anything. I don't know if you have that, Sebastian, but that'd be cool to check out. Right, so right now we're using that to control the low pass filter, but maybe we don't want to do that, right? We would prefer to use this just for the amplifier, right? So what we can do is actually use EG1 output into the cutoff frequency of the low pass filter. And now we can use the envelope 2 just for the amplifier. Amplifier is sustaining longer than the filter. Did a set of songs that inspired me to walk the path of music and onward. That's awesome. Oh, that sucks that they can't keep it up there. I know that it's different. Nobody likes it when you can't keep it up. It's, you know, YouTube is interesting. For a while, it seemed like Twitch was the place to be for DJs because you could get away with copyright stuff. I've had streams shut down, even when I wasn't streaming copyrighted material, just because the censors or the bots were like, yeah, I don't think you're allowed to play that. I've had it happen on my own music, right? Because I've released music on Alpha Matrix and Quantum Records and probably a couple of other places. And I don't like technically own, like I own the rights to the music, I guess, but they do too. They own the rights to monetize it. So even if I, for instance, took a track I did with Miss FD and used that music as my background music on one of these videos on the intro, that would set off the copyright flags. It's crazy. But I was under the impression that on Twitch, at least, they could still leave the video up and they would just mute certain sections, but maybe that's changed since in the intervening years. Yeah, it's a thing. So anyways, this is a way that we can get different, different stuff. So if, for instance, we wanted to just use the attack and release here. To use like more of a plucky shape to this. There's a way that you can get a more complex shape to the oscillator and filter relationship. And of course, we could do this too to the high pass filter. So let's go ahead and move that around and see what happens. So I'll turn it down here and turn this up. Let's increase the peak so we can really hear it. Get these really great sort of talking vowel-y type stuff if we use both in conjunction. Little robots singing, you know what I mean? A little of that action. Yeah. Haven't heard that name in years. Well, they're still putting out quality synth pop EBM in industrial. And You know, still haven't gotten released on Metropolis yet. Yeah. So again, we're just using one simple thing here. We're using the out of envelope generator 1 to control the high pass filter. So yeah, super cool that you can do that. You can defeat the basic architecture of what's already in here. Yeah. So let's make this more complicated. Let's take the pink noise out and run that into the low pass filter. And again, this should be pretty painful. Really not that bad, actually. Let's try it with white noise. That's a way to get kind of more of a... There it is. I think I was just getting a dusty connection. Getting a little of that Daft Punk thing too, right? Never let her go. Bad lucks. Welcome to the stream. Right? So we're getting some kind of crazy stuff there. Let's just run the pink noise into the external signal in and see what we get. Now we're getting into some real territory. So that's a little too crazy, but what we can do is run it into the external signal processor, right? And then run out of the bandpass filter back into an external signal. We have the signal all the way down, so it shouldn't hear too much of a difference. So getting a little bit of that pink noise texture, but if we bring some of the low end out of that, so we just get some of the higher stuff, the pink noise is kind of like a duller noise. A little bit more pleasing noise, a little bit nice there. It is an old phone switchboard. How's it going, my friend? One-Eyed Freakbot over on Twitch. Yo, we got Orlando up in the stream. How's it going? We were just talking about Alpha Matrix, the guy who does the videos for so many industrial artists, including Suicide Commando. Right. So that's a thing we can do. Let's go ahead and back out again and try something else. I'm going to try to see if we can recreate. I saw this interesting. I should remember the channel name, but let's go ahead, turn VCO2 off. And we're going to go to a square wave here. And what we'll try to do is see if we can actually get this thing to play itself. So this is a really cool way to create sort of techno bass drum type stuff that I saw. Hard day, but I feel good being here. I love that. Love some Oreos, my friend. So real quick, what was I just about to say? Oh, what were you doing on your stream tonight, Pinto? I'm also wearing Lily Tomlin's headset. That's hilarious. I never even really thought of that. So we're going to use let's figure this out. So we're going to start with envelope generator 1. Let's see, I think this is the out of envelope generator 1. We're going to put that into trigger 1. We'll use the reverse out of that and we'll run that into the frequency. So this is the reverse out of envelope generator 1 into the frequency here. So you can hear how we could create a kick drum, right? Something like a kick drum. Persona 5 Royal, I don't even know. Marlon, hey, how's it going? Hello, hello, how are you? So we have something like a kick drum, right? Like a little gabber kick drum. Now, let's take the envelope 1 trigger in, and we're going to send that from the, what are we going to do? Do that from the modulation generator, maybe? Let's go ahead and try that and see what happens. Increase hold time all the way. If you increase hold time all the way, it sort of turns it into a drone, right? So you can hear how we could create kind of a kick drum out of this. So that's the beginning of that kick drum sound, right? Let's add a little bit of low end actually with a high pass filter. And then we could add a nice ringing frequency with the low pass filter. Bit of nice pumping action there. Everybody loves to pump. Now what I believe we can do is actually use something else from the modulation generator. So let's look at the out of the envelope generator and see if that works actually. I'd be curious to see. That's chaos. Some really chaotic stuff. Whoa. Wow, that is pretty intense what you could do. So that's a way that you can actually use the synth to actually like play itself, basically, to use a sort of kick drum type sound, like a gabber kick drum. I really want to spend some time and actually just sample the shit out of sounds like this, tweaking the knobs, because it's crazy what kind of effects you get when you're doing this sort of pump and dump, as Bad Luck says. Welcome to the stream, my friend. And Lynn Knight, welcome to the stream. I remember using one of these in 1979 with a cover band. Ah, the days of no memory patches and dropping setup cards over the knobs during the end of a song, getting ready for the next. It's one of the craziest things or coolest things about a synth like this is that, you know, this synth is exactly what you see is what you get. And a way people would actually remember what to do is by taking a Polaroid. So if you took a photo of this synth as it is right now, and you have an MS-20, either a modern one or a vintage one like this, you could take this, and if you turn all the knobs to the same things and you plug the same cables in, guess what? It's going to sound exactly the same, or pretty close to exactly the same. Analog synths are all temperamental, but it's pretty crazy that you can get these sorts of really cool sounds, you know, just by doing the thing. And so what I'm using is the delay time and the attack time. You have to tune them both simultaneously to get this kick drum effect. I'm shocked that this isn't the way they did those old gabber kick drums, because this is how that sounds, right? It's got that sound. We do up high, it's more of like a laser sci-fi sound. Lower that actually even further, so I'm actually going to use a patch cable to run from the wheel into the... Can I run it to total? Will that work? Let's see what happens. what if we wanted to make this even fucking crazier? We could take another cable and run the headphones out into the external signal in. Go ahead and try that real quick. Just too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the headphone out into the external processor signal in, and then the bandpass filter of that out into the external signal in, aka running that into the high pass filter so we can get a little bit more insanity. Now I have the signal level down all the way here, so... Wow, we're just really in chaos. I don't even know what's happening. Let's just back out. We've gone too deep. See, this is the problem with Modulation. It's still going, by the way. You can hear it doing something. Wow. Wow, we got a little out of hand, guys, and that's the problem with modular, right? Is that you just start like kind of going in a direction, and you create a sound that maybe no one's ever heard before. I'm sure someone's done that. That was not a particularly complicated thing I was doing, but I think it's a good example of how you can take things like so far. I'm so used to just being like, here's two sawtooths, right, and playing notes like that. This is the OG. This is a original vintage mini, or not a mini, sorry, I was going to say mini Korg MS-20. It's probably from 1983. It's one of the last ones made because of the serial number. You can see that Mark II OTA filter. Yeah, it's definitely a whole lot of craziness. Yeah, Nikki, I don't know. I mean, we really lost the track here. But we can go back to a pretty sound. Right, to play Kerncraft. So, yeah, it's pretty great. Why don't we go over to the ring mod and the square here. Using the ring mod here. Oh, is the tune actually from Zombie Nation? I know that's the name of the song. I didn't know it was a game. So yeah, I got to use one of these on a record release by Secret Chief's 3 label. I haven't heard that before, or I don't know that group, but that's super freaking cool. All right, so we're back to sort of a regular sound. We can kind of treat it like a regular sound. palette cleanser, I just sort of use the synth without any patch cables to get a pretty sound and see what we can do with it. So what I'm doing here is I've just brought the filter down a bit, and we've got the envelope generator 2. The kind of standard envelope is controlling both the amplitude, and then by increasing it here, it's controlling the low pass filter too. So there's a 2 attack, 2 decay, medium sustain, medium release. We could actually even just set those to 2s just to make it, you know, nice. And using the ring mod and the square wave to sort of get a fake PWM sound. Really pretty sound. And by the way, a little fun fact about this synthesizer is the ring mod in this is similar to the Arb Odyssey, actually, where it's not truly a ring mod. I believe what is going on is that it is the cross modulation between the two oscillators. So a thing to think about. All right, so what I want to do is take VCO2's output, and let's see if we can find that here. It's around here. Where could it be? VCO, we've got the CV in, so if we wanted to control this with like a sequencer or something, we could run it in here. Where is the, this is VCO2 CV in, so I guess you could split VCO1 and VCO2 that way. I'm just looking for the output of one of the VCOs, right? Let's see. Where is that? If someone knows. I feel like I'm looking at it, but I don't see it. Trigger in, trigger out. Anybody got this? Imagine what you could make this sound like with some good effects. Yeah, right now we're just using Valhalla delay down, I think, 25 decibels or something crazy like that. Just because I want people to basically hear the raw sound, but any vintage synth is going to sound a little puny by today's standards if you don't add a little bit of something something. Someone tell me this thing where the fucking VCO1 out is. I know I'm looking right at it. I know it's here. I know I'm looking at it. Well, let's see if I move this CV in and I move this to the filter. I think that's basically just canceling VCO2, right? Yeah, that's how that sounded. This is the signal out. So that's the one thing we gotta leave in. If I pull that out, we lose the synth, and that's why the alien is holding it there. You know, it's being a good buddy. I know there's some way you can get filter mod. So let's go ahead and just see what I can do here. Right now, EG2 and external are coming in. What's total external? So let's see if we run that. And we run that out of, I don't know, modulation generator. Let's see what happens. I mean, I guess that's just doing exactly what you would think, right? could get that samurai keyboard cowboy sound from Yoji Biomechanica. But we're not really doing much that's different than just using the modulation generator as usual. So that's not what I want to do. I want to run... What I'm trying to do is get some frequency modulation on the filter. And I know it's doable. I did it earlier. Luckily, this is a pretty sound. Let's see here. I know it's here. I know it's fucking here. We could maybe do it in reverse. So let's say we put the out of that into CV2 in. What happens? Or CV1 and 2. There we go. So now you'll notice that the keyboard is controlling the amplifier, but not the notes, right? We're just hearing the trigger of that out. That's interesting. Keyboard CV out. What if we take that? So this, if I did the CV out to the filter, what we would get is keyboard following. You can hear that down there. We're hearing, you know. If you guys remember, I tried to tune the CV out to the filter, and it was difficult to do. I'll see you in 15, Aquatic. Let's see if we do that with the in for the voltage-controlled amplifier. I don't really notice a difference there. We could take the amplifier out, run that into the frequency here. Nothing really. Into the total. Okay, none of that's interesting. I'm having fun, guys. I don't know about you guys. It's interesting. We could use the envelope out of the envelope follower and apply that to the cutoff of the high-pass filter. And see what happens if we run something in to that. What if we run the headphones into that? What will that do? Now we're getting sort of like a glitchy auto-wah effect. Reading the manual. Yes, no, I actually was reading the manual earlier today, but one issue here you'll notice right now is the high-pass filter is not really responding. Maybe it's because of this? That's what it was. It's so easy to forget. Without moving this amount, we're not going to get that. Yeah, so I was reading the manual, but it's actually shocking, even with the modern MS-20, how it can be a little confusing. And then certain things happen where you plug something in and you're like, why am I not hearing it? And you can't figure out if it's a dusty connection or if you didn't move a knob over here. Sebastian, I totally agree. It can sound so beautiful and warm all the way into some pretty crazy mayhem. And I agree, the prodigy sound is so built in this synth. All right, let's see if we could do this with the low pass filter, see what happens. Wrong knob. You'll notice what's happening is that as the signal decays, right, that's feeding less out of the phones into the processor, into the signal level, out of the envelope follower here, and into the filter. So it's like you have to get over that threshold level, and then it drops back down, which is pretty crazy. A lot of the earlier iconic coil stuff has the MS-20 all over it. That's good to know too. It's pretty crazy, like, to think of running this through distortion, Seb, because it's already so gnarly. But of course, if you ran it through something, I'm sure you could get it even more bizarre. There isn't much subtle about this. Yeah, this is a very in-your-face rock and roll synth. I would just like to point out too, guys, real quick, that whoop, there that cable went. We started with a very beautiful sound. I wanted to start with something a little less extreme because it does have a tendency to get extreme very quickly. So let's see, what else could we fuck around with? We could get let's take the control input of the VCA from the out of the sample and hold. See if I can get this notepad to stay. Please stay. It's not staying. Okay, fuck it. There that goes. Let's grab this. It's nice of the palm tree to hold that for me. Let's get the white noise into the sample and hold. There's a knob that I need to adjust for the VCA. It doesn't look like it. It looks like it should just work. Let's see if we do the modulation generator out into the VCA. That doesn't seem to work. Let's put it to control input. Huh. Fuck that notepad, for sure. Yeah, no, the Korg sound is, for me, a huge thing. Let's see what else we can do. Let's take total, which affects all of these things, and let's run that out from the modulation generator. I want to see. Interesting how you get these different sort of sci-fi sounds with this. You can pulse width there. Let's do it with a sine triangle. Yeah, there we go. I'm using the reverse out of the envelope generator. Do that from the phones. So let's see. Autumn, have a wonderful night. It's good to see you. Yes. The Japanese make my favorite synth, aside from the Germans and Russians for one in particular. Sci-fi, he says, Savi's telling the aliens to come and get us. If I remember correctly, an awesome trick was running that headphone out and back into itself, almost like the mini-moog thing. Yeah, I think I demonstrated that earlier in the video, but we can run the phones out into the signal in, and then run that out into the external signal in here. So we get... Right now, we're not hearing anything. As soon as I crank the signal level here... craziness that is the like unstable nature of these old connections. Glitchy sort of results. Don, Ricky, how's it going? Considering a Nord stage. Interesting. I've never owned a Nord. I really don't have an opinion on Nords. They're definitely sort of the kings nowadays that they haven't been putting out the viruses. They seem to be the kings of virtual analog as well as stage pianos, but I don't really know enough about them. Hydras, yeah, for sure. Been loving Nord Micromodular, Nord Drum 1, and a PVX 800 sequence by the SQ60, the XQ64. I feel like if I tried enough, it could give me Phantom of the Opera vibes, yeah. Yeah. think some of this is being affected by the ring mod. Let's move it back over to Sawtooth. Getting that weird connection there. I don't know what that is. I do think that some of this is the fact that this synth is so old that we're getting these weird sort of artifacts in here. Might be time for me to take this synth in to get serviced as well. Although I'm sure most of the issues are just me not realizing what I'm doing wrong. But super cool sounds, right? I don't understand why that would be affecting the pitch. Right? Because it's just going to the external signal in. I feel like something's off about that. Non-conductive bath is needed. It's a super cool sound, but it seems like it shouldn't be doing that, right? I'm almost wondering if there's like a wires touching that shouldn't be. Because I can understand going in here and having that control the frequency, but because it's going to the external signal in, we really shouldn't have that problem. But instead we're getting some sort of really weird stuff going on. Not too much. So really I've just been noodling around with this, trying to figure out what's going on, because as I understand it, we're running the headphone out into the signal in, and then the out from the bandpass filter into the external signal in here. So we should just be getting that mini-moog type effect. I mean, here the synth's doing things. It almost sounds like we're getting a third VCO doing weird stuff, which things are timey-wimey. Just making me think, you know, we're getting some weird stuff. I probably need to take this thing in and get serviced. And that sound is independent of the LFO. Yeah, it's just super weird. So, anyways, jack contacts need cleaning. Yeah, I think so. There's like the story of Mark Mothersbaugh sweating into his Wasp and getting a certain sound for Devo. That's hilarious. Yeah, things are very weird right now with this synth. So that's kind of the fun of doing synths live, though, is that you never know what's going to happen. It's not a bad sound. It's actually cool. It sort of sounds like ring modulation to me. But I have no idea. Yeah, so that's a thing that's happening. It's like trying, but it can't quite get there. I agree. I don't know. So we might have to do this again on another night when this thing's been cleaned out, because now it's like still going. Do you guys hear that? I don't know what that is. And now that sounds kind of like my microphone is being weird. Does it? I'm losing it, guys. Okay. Why don't, yeah, it's like someone on Lexapro. They're trying to figure it out. Why don't we go ahead and call it there for a night? Because this is very strange, whatever was happening there. I do hear it in the background, right? I don't know what was going on. If there's some sort of interference or I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. Wait. I'm turning the music down for a second. Sounds like now it sounds fine. But over here it didn't sound fine. Oh my god, I'm losing it. Oh my gosh, so crazy. Yes. Hey Ed, how's it going? The joys of vintage gear. That's the thing. Sometimes you just end up with a weird stream because gear is weird, old gear. It's still going on at a lower bass. I don't know what is going on, guys. Craziness. Is it one of my connections, maybe? Let's just go ahead and see if that helped. I don't know. We'll have to figure this out again another night. So we sort of started off okay with that stream, but then towards the end, things started getting very strange. Residual voltage, yeah, it could be that, but it doesn't seem that external signal should ever affect the frequency, right? That's the thing that's freaking me out, is I'm like, you're hearing notes in there that shouldn't be there. Ghost notes. So, yeah, rewire everything. It's time for me to take it to Severed Machines and have them check it out, I think is what I'm hearing. It was cool. I liked the sound. That's the funny thing, is I kind of want to sample it before I take it back in and be like, yeah, we like the strange, you know? Sometimes you need a little strange, you know? But anyways, guys, it's been a fun one. Sorry about that chaos. Hopefully, we'll have less chaos next week with the Yamaha SY99 right over there. We're going to be checking it out. Really excited for that. And simple cleaning, new wires, etc. Yeah, I don't think it'll be too bad, hopefully. I've had that noise come and disappeared and not seen again. Yeah, you know, sometimes one of the things I noticed too is I used to have problems with my Poly 6 before I got it repaired again. Just leaving it on too long. Some wire would short and all of a sudden you'd lose what you were doing. It was just because the synth was on too long and there wasn't like one jumper where it was supposed to be or something. The joys of vintage synths. So anyways, guys, next week, Yamaha SY99, and the week after that, we'll be checking out some really cool analog pedals from the 80s. So that'll be a lot of fun. I'm Vulture Culture. You guys are amazing. I hope you guys have a safe week, and I cannot wait to see you next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Love and light.